In this video, I'll be explaining mmSolver usage guide shelf tools to make the workflow easier. Inside Maya, we have this mmSolver shelf. So we have already covered the Solver UI part, which is this one here. It's called Solver button. And right next to it, we have this a button called Create with a red colored locator. So right now, I'll just delete all my existing points. Delete. Alright, I'll just delete the group too. So all I have is a camera, a geometry, which is this one. I'll just selection highlight on, which is this one, and a OBJ, this one. Just delete this collection too. So the first button we have here is Create. So what this Create button does is creates a marker for the active viewport. So if I click that, so what it does is it creates the marker group first, and then inside that group we have a marker. And if I turn on the move tool, as you can see, there's a marker at the center of the view. So you can place it wherever you want. You can key it, like you can set key here and then go a little further and then set key there. You can use that point to solve your camera. Set key there. That's not perfect, but as you can see, you can use that point to solve your camera too. So when you create a marker by using this button, it would automatically create a bundle attached to it. So if I select the marker and click this tool, which is toggle markers bundle, so it toggles between marker and bundle. Like imagine if you selected a bundle, and if you click this one, it would select the marker, and if you have a marker selected and click this button, that would select the bundle. So if you want to select a bundle attached to any particular marker, you select the marker and click this button here, that would select the bundle. So when it selects that, that means the bundle is connected to this particular marker. And if it's broken, like if it's not connected, this tool doesn't work and it wouldn't select any bundle. Like imagine if I delete this bundle and select the marker and then click this tool, that doesn't do anything. Cool. So that's how you create a 2D point or a marker for the camera. And I'll just delete these two. And right next to it, we have a tool called Convert. So if you hover over your mouse top on the Convert button, it would give you a tooltip, which is like converts 3D transform to marker. Right now, I have a camera track working. So if I take a locator somewhere here and probably place it here, so that's just a 3D point. And if I select that locator and click this button, so what it does is it creates a 2D marker considering the 3D position of it. So if I delete the locator here, as you can see, it's a 2D marker. If I open the marker group, as you can see, there is a marker named locator1 underscore mkr. So this locator1 is the name of your selection previously. If I undo it, see the name of the locator. The tool would take the locator name and then just put a mkr suffix in the end, and also it creates the bundle attached to it. So if I select the marker and toggle it, that would select the bundle too. And if you go to the perspective view, if I select the marker and press F, frame selected, as you can see, this 2D marker is just right in front of the camera and attached to your camera. So if I move the camera, that would just move along with it. Even if I rotate it, that would rotate it. Your 2D points are always attached to the camera. So if I look through the camera view, that's where my 2D point is, and this one is just my locator. Just delete that. Cool, that's my 2D point. I can use this as my input and solve my camera. So in this case, I just created it from existing track, so I don't need the locators anymore. So I'll just select this one, select both locator and marker, and just delete them. I don't need the marker group too. Alright, and the next one we have is load. So if you click that, it opens up a UI, and you give a file path to the 2D points which you have exported from 3D equalizer. So you click that, 2D points. So once you give the file path here, it would show up all the points here, number of frames and number of points, and then here you get to choose which camera you want to attach this 2D points to. So right now we have only one camera, so imagine if you have one more camera inside the file. Like I'll just create a camera and say temp or something, and then if I refresh this list, that would show up that camera too. So you can choose for which camera you want to attach these points to. So in this case, I want to attach to camera 1. So I'll just refresh the list and then select the camera which I want to attach to, and then say load, and that should load all the 2D points and bundles attached to those 2D points at the origin. So if I go to the perspective view, you see all my 2D points are right in front of the camera, all my 2D points, and all my bundles are at the origin. If I hide the geometry, you would see it properly. Polygons. All my bundles are there, like, at the origin. So if you select all of these markers and hit this button here, that would select the bundles. So you can select single marker and then click this button, that would toggle. You can select multiple markers and click this one, that would toggle between bundles and markers. That's pretty much it about the load markers UI. It's pretty simple. You just give the path to the 2D points which you have exported, select the camera and say load. That would load the 2D points and create bundles at the origin. And next we have this button called create bundles. So if you observe inside mmSolver, all these red colored icons, like red colored cross icons, are related to markers, and all these green colored icons are related to bundles. So this one is a bundle tool. So imagine you have created a marker and then like you have deleted it by mistake, or you don't know what happened. So you have an orphan marker sitting in the screen, but you don't have any bundle attached to it. So what you can do is you can select the marker and click this button. That would attach the 2D marker to a bundle. It's a bit different if you're coming from a 3D equalizer background. Like you cannot actually delete a 3D point inside equalizer. So that's the reason you can't go wrong inside 3D equalizer. But here it's Maya, and with this solver you can actually do whatever you want. Like you can delete the objects, you can attach them, so you have all the freedom. And also, you know, there are chances where you might do some mistakes and end up deleting the bundles, any related stuff. So in this case, imagine you have deleted the bundle. All you have to do is select the marker and then click this button. That would attach your 3D bundle to the selected marker. So that's what this button does. And then we have a next section here which is called M tools and B tools. Alright, so if you click M tools, we have duplicate marker and average marker. So in order to explain that, I'll just open up a scene where I have all my points. So So here I have all my 2D markers which I have exported from Equalizer. So if I turn on the selection highlight, oops, just turn off the image plane too, image plane and the polygons. So as you can see, I have all my 2D points here. Oops. And these are my object points here. Alright, so I'll just turn the image plane on and the polygons. So it's same as what we have it in Equalizer, the duplicate marker thing. So if I want to create a duplicate of this marker here, so I'll just select the marker and say, you can either left click or right click. It would open up a pop-up menu here. So if you select a marker and click this button, that would duplicate your selected marker. So in this case, I'll just probably hide all these markers. So if I select them and press H, that would hide it. So as you can see, we have a marker here, which is exactly what your previous marker was doing. So how this tool is helpful is, imagine you want to create a 2D marker to help the camera solve. So I'll just duplicate one marker here, and then I can unlock these channels, oops, unlock, and then I can create an anim layer and then move them somewhere here. Like I can just move it probably here, and then key it. It's same as using deform track in Equalizer, so move it there. There you go, we have a 2D point there. And when you click duplicate marker, it would create a marker, and also there'll be a bundle attached to it already. And the next tool we have in mTools menu is average marker. So what it does is it creates the average position from the selected markers. So imagine we have I'll probably take the object track bundles, sorry, object track markers. So imagine if I select these two markers here, and then I say average marker, that would create a 2D point in between those markers. So it would take the average position from the selected markers, and it would create a marker in that average position, and also creates the bundle attached to it. And you can select more than two markers. Imagine if I select all these 4 markers and then click this button, that would create a marker for the average position from the selected markers. Alright, that's and then same way you can use some anim layers, select the channel and create an anim layer, and you can offset it wherever you want. Probably imagine if I want to offset it somewhere here, I can easily offset that. I can just keep it here, key it, and then oops, I mean, it's not perfect, but you guys got the idea. You can actually use the existing markers and then duplicate or average it, put some offsets, and ready to use it for the solve. Alright, so that's it for the M tools. And the next one we have is B tools, which is called bundle tools. So inside we have 4 tools here. So the first one is, oops, sorry, wrong click. So the first one is toggle bundle lock state. Every time we track a camera or you're solving for an object and you know where exactly the position is, so what you would do is you place them in the correct 3D position, and you're telling the solver that this is the exact position of the bundles and I don't want Solver to move them. So what you do is you select it and then you say, lock them. I don't like locking them means you're saying it's surveyed. I know where the exact 3D position is. So it's kind of annoying, not annoying. It's like 3-4 steps to do it. Like select the points, you go here and select the channels and lock, unlock, and you might sometimes miss something. So we have created a button. What it does is you select the bundles and then click this button that would toggle the lock state. Imagine you have placed all your 3D position properly and then you want to lock all of them. All you have to do is, you don't have to select the attributes also. Like I'll just unselect these attributes and then all I have to do is select the bundles and then click this button that would lock all your 3D position of the bundles. And if it's already locked, you can click the button that, I'll just undo that. You can click the button that would unlock it. Imagine you have one object locked, and if you select all of them and click once, that would unlock all the attributes first, and then once you click it again, that would lock bundle translation attributes. Cool. And then you add the markers to the Solver UI and your camera to the Solver UI and you hit solve. That's it. So that's what the toggle bundle lock state does. And the next one we have is Reproject bundle. So if I select all my camera track markers and then go to B tools and say Reproject bundles. So what this does is it moves all your bundles into the camera space and puts it under the marker. So if I select this marker and select my bundle, as you can see, it's exactly at the center of my 2D marker. So if I just turn off my image plane, so if I select the marker and toggle, as you can see, I have a 3D position right under the marker, but it's not at the correct depth. So imagine you have a 2D point here and you cannot project that point or give any exact 3D position to it. So what you can do is you can click this button here, that would get it in front of the camera, and then you can move it wherever you want. You can snap it to a vertex, or you can move it in 2D space, or you can go to the perspective and move it wherever you want. So Reproject bundle, what it does, it just gets the bundle in front of your camera, and then from the camera view you can adjust it wherever you want. We have another tool called Raycast marker which projects the bundle on the surface, but yeah, it's just another tool which you can use, get your bundle in front of the camera view. Alright, so that brings us to next tool called Raycast markers. So what it does is, I'll just zero out my bundles again. Cool, so all my bundles are at origin, and I have my 2D markers here which are tracked to the plate. I'll just turn off the geometry so you can see it's not clear, but there are 2D markers. Like all this red color locators are my 2D markers. So I'll just turn on the polygons. So I select all my camera points and then click this button, Raycast markers. That would raycast selected markers bundle onto a mesh from the associated camera. So what I mean is, if I select this 2D point, so that's my 2D point, right? And then if I select the bundle attached to it, that is sitting exactly in the center of my marker, and if I go to the perspective view, that 3D point should be there on the surface. So it's similar to what we have it in 3D equalizer called project points on 3D model. So if you select all the bundles here, that would be on the mesh. Even if I go to the perspective view and keep on selecting those bundles, as you can see, all these green colored locators are actually my 3D positions. So if I select the bundle and move on to the next one, it's all on the surface. You can select all of this. You can say toggle bundle lock state, and that will lock your 3D positions, and then you're ready to solve. Yeah, that's pretty much it about the raycast marker. And then we have AMAT camera. So what this tool does is it moves objects in the screen space. So if I have I'll probably take this example. Maybe you have tracked a point slightly away from the mesh where you can't raycast the markers. Oops, I keyed. Maybe not perfect track point, but as you can see, I cannot project these points because there is no surface. So even if I select the marker and then click this button, that doesn't do anything, and it also prints out saying that it didn't hit the mesh. So in this case, what you can do is select the marker and then click this button, reproject bundle. That would get the bundle in front of your camera, and then by selecting your bundle, if you click this button, aim at camera. So what this tool does is it points one of the axes towards your camera. So if I go to the perspective view, and if you see that bundle, one of the axes is pointing towards the camera, right? And it's highlighted already, so you're ready to use the middle click mouse and then move it in screen space. As you can see, I've middle mouse clicked it and then just dragging it, and that's actually moving the object in the screen space. So if I have both perspective and the camera view, so from the camera view I'm just doing this middle mouse click and drag, and that's actually moving the object in the screen space. So I can click that aim tool here, and that would point one of the axes, and then I can go to the perspective view and then just move it in the correct space. So maybe wireframe. So I know that in the 3D space it's somewhere here, right? Somewhere close by, and then I can lock the channels here, I can lock the attributes, and then I can use this point to solve my camera or the objects. That's how you use all the bundle tools, like to log them, you reproject them, and use this tool to move the bundle in the screen space. You can move anything in the screen space by using this tool. Like even if I have a sphere, like if I have a sphere here, and then I use this tool, oops, aim at camera, that would point my one of the axes, and I middle click drag. As you can see in the perspective view, it's actually moving the object in the screen space. Cool, that covers our marker tools and bundle tools. And the next one we have is the marker bundle toggles and renaming and linking. So as you guys have already seen using this tool, so if I select the markers and then click this button, that would select all the bundles attached to it, and right next to it we have this button called m+b. So what this tool does is, if I have bundles or markers selected and click this button, that would select both the markers and the bundles. So imagine if I want to delete these 4 markers and you can just delete them, but by deleting them you have left the bundles in the scene. You don't want to do that. So what you can do is select this one, click this button, and then delete it. That would delete both your markers and the bundles. So I'll just undo that. That's how you use M+B button here. On every tool, if you hover your mouse, it would actually show the tooltip. So this one toggles marker bundles, and this one would what it says, selects markers and bundles. And then right next to it we have rename selected markers and connected bundles. So imagine right now these points are saying camera, and then we have a suffix of mkr. So imagine if I want to rename this to something else, like I can say, by default it would just fill with markers, but you can rename it whatever you want. Maybe say instead of camera I can just say cam, and then hit OK. That would rename your markers and the bundles attached to it. It will put a suffix in the end, and we have our object points. I can rename these object points saying maybe obj points maybe, and that would rename it, and the object points would rename, and the bundle points also would rename. Alright, and then we have MBLNK button here. So imagine if I select the bundle and then delete it. So right now there is no bundle attached to it, and you cannot use this marker to solve it because there is no specific 3D position attached to it. What you can do is create a bundle without selecting anything, and you can select the marker and the bundle and say link. That would link your bundle and marker. And after that we have one more button called unlink. It just does opposite, like if you want to unlink marker and bundle, so we just select go and use go here and click and say unlink. That would unlink your marker and bundle. So if I select a marker and click this, that won't select the bundle attached to it. Worst case scenarios you would use it, but it's there. If something is broken, you guys can use it. So I'll just delete this point right now, and then we'll move on to the next section. So we have 3 buttons here. So the first one is called center. It's similar to what we have in equalizer called center. So if I select a marker and click this button, make sure you highlight a viewport and then click this button, that would center that point. And if I scrub through the timeline, that would stay exactly in the center. So this would be useful if you want to do some offsets, or if you want to check whether your track is working fine or not. In this case I want to create a locator at the center and move it somewhere here, and then click this button called center. That would center my viewport, and I can check my track whether it's working fine or not. And to remove the centering, what you have to do is you don't select anything, highlight the viewport and click this button. That would disable your centering. So even if I select the locator now and then do this, that won't be centered anymore. That's how you enable and disable your center options. And the next tool we have is channel sensitivity. So what this tool does, it opens up a UI, and then you can control the sensitivity of the channel box. So if I create a locator or something, put it here, if I make a click drag, if I move 1 pixel, that's actually moving 0.1 value of selected attributes. So I can bump this up. So if you see now the value is 1, so if I click the attribute and move, change the attribute value by 1, I can go up to like how much of a value I want. You can click this default and that would set to 1, and you can decrease the sensitivity also. So in this case I want to put it to 0.001, and then I'm going to click and drag. That would move locator with a really less sensitivity value. So this is useful if you want to do 2D offsets, or you have used the duplicate marker tool and then you want to precisely correct it. So I probably use this tool to create a 2D marker somewhere here. So if I select the marker, use this duplicate, and that point is selected here, and then I'll just unlock that, create an anim layer, and then move it first here. It's the combination of using all the tools. So I click center tool here, that would center my marker in the viewport. Oops, I didn't key it. So go here, place it there, and then key it first, and then I go to the last frame maybe, and then place it here. Maybe in the middle, I go here, place it there. You see that it's changing with small value, and you don't want to use the manipulator tools. You can use this sensitivity, like you can bump this down to like some value, and then oops, default down. I can use this X value, maybe one more value down, and then I can precisely place it in the center. Maybe here I can just precisely place it in the center. So this is generally to control your sensitivity value. And then I have a 2D point there. Maybe here I can use the Y a little bit, and then you can toggle between the keys and see if it's exactly at the center. Cool, that seems to be working pretty well. And then I can select this. And then I have a marker ready to use it for the solver. Cool, it's the combination of using duplicate tool, channel sensitivity, and center tools to make the workflow easier. Imagine you want to create a 2D point, you don't actually have to do all the process like going to equalizer, tracking it, and exporting it. You can simply use combination of all these tools and then simply create a 2D marker inside a scene. Cool, that's what the channel sensitivity tool does. And then after that we have a smooth button. So what the smooth button does is smooths the selected curves. So if I select the XT of a marker, I can select these curves and then say smooth. Imagine if I just move them like this and select the points and say smooth. That's actually smoothing. If you have a bumpy object track or camera, you select the curve, smooth it, lock it, and solve for it. Alright, so I'll just quickly show a solve, how to do a solve by using a couple of tools here. I know that I'm doing this in every video tutorial, but I'll just quickly show again how you can solve a basic camera. So right now I'll just delete all my camera track. I'll just delete my object track also. Break connections. I'll just delete this one which I have duplicated. So imagine you also I move these points outside of my object, and I'll call this marker. Alright, so when you import the points from equalizer, you'll have something like this, like all your 2D points will be there. And imagine you have a lineup camera. If you don't know how to do a lineup using a solver, please go through the introduction to solver video, which I'll be sharing a link in the description. Just watch that video and you'll get to know how the solver works and how you can do a simple camera track and lineup. So in this case I already have a lineup, so what I'll do is I'll just key it, and then I have all my marker points and bundle points. So what I'll do is I'll just rename all my camera points. So these are on my camera points, so I'll just rename them, saying camera points, and I'll just zero this out. So this is how you could get it once you import it from 3D equalizer. All the 3D bundle 3D position is at the origin. So I have renamed that, and then I have 4 object points. So I'll rename that too. So I'll just click this and say obj points, and that would rename my bundles and markers. What I'll do is I'll place all my bundles inside the object. So now the bundles are inside the object, and then I'll just select all my camera points and then use raycast markers tool, so it would project all my bundles on the surface or on the mesh. And then I select all the bundles and then lock it, and I select my object points and use raycast marker. That would project all my bundles on the object, and then I'll do the same thing, lock it, open my solver UI. I'll just remove these ones. So the best part about the solver UI is, like, if you have done your solve, save your file, and once you open the solver UI, it would remember whatever your settings and whatever things you have added to the UI. So in this case I don't need them, so I'll just remove everything. And I have a lineup, I have a points projector. What I'll do is I'll add all the inputs here, and that will add all the inputs. And then here I'm solving for a camera, so I'll add the camera. So if you select the camera and click this button, that would automatically add the attributes, translations and rotations. And then I'll add this object, and make sure I'll key it, add it, oops, that would add, oh, okay. So when you select an object, it's actually adding your scale attributes also. So right now we don't need them, so I'll just select the scale attributes and then remove them. And we're solving from 1 to 120 frame range. You can edit this and set this to 60 or whatever you want. So in this case I'm solving from 1 to 120. I'm using animated only as a logic, and we're ready to hit the solve. So I'll just hit solve. As you can see, we have a progress bar here, and it would show up error, the average pixel error and everything inside the UI now. Cool. So the average pixel error is 0.00, which is perfect. And as you can see, we have our camera track and the object track working. Cool. And it prints out the error here and also prints out the error here. That's pretty much about Solver UI and the shelf buttons. Hope you guys like it. Watch out for this space. We'll be adding some more tutorials, like if you have any updates of UI or if you have any general updates, we will just make a video and update them. This tool is in really early stage of development, so there are chances that UI might change, or the order of this shelf might change, or the way this buttons work might change, or we might be adding some more tools just to make the user workflow faster. Cool. See you guys in the next one.